Okay. I believe we are live. Let me just double check YouTube here. Excuse me. We are live. Let me just. Yes, we are live. We are good to go for the NPC update. I hope everybody is having a fantastic day. Go do stuff. What is up? How's it going? Today is going to be focusing on the liberal boomer. And it's not just the liberal boomer, but that seems to be the generation and age group that is showing up the most for Mark Carney. And yeah, it just really feels like they don't want a future. They don't care about the future. They don't care about the younger generation. Now, I must point out and I must say, it is not the boomer as a whole. It is the liberal boomer. Let me get that straight to any of my older viewers here on the channel. I am not calling you out unless you are a liberal. Let me just get this straight. The past 10 years was not bad enough, apparently, for them, that they think another term is okay. I don't personally understand it. Clearly, they have something invested or involved, whether they're a government affiliate, they work for the government, maybe they've got a massive RRSP or 401k or whatever it is, this big pension built up that they believe the conservatives are just going to take away from them. I don't know what it is. But what I can tell you is, it feels like they don't want a future. Holy moly, it's been confirmed that Mark Carney is running on Justin Trudeau's platform.
The liberal platform, frankly, that's something I will say that has been ready for several weeks now. Mona Fortier was the one who was working on this, and it was ready before Mark Carney even became liberal leader. So, he only had to tweak a couple of things. The liberal platform, frankly, that's something I will say that has been ready for several weeks now. Mona Fortier was the one who was working on this, and it was ready before Mark Carney even became liberal leader. So, he only had to tweak a couple of things.
I had to play that twice because it is a quick clip. And honestly, I'm gonna continue to play it as we go through this live stream. You can't make this stuff up. They're saying it on live television, you just need to pay attention. That's all it comes down to. They literally said it's been ready for several weeks before Mark Carney was installed. They just needed to tweak a few things.
And it was ready before Mark Carney even became liberal leader. So, he only had to tweak a couple of things.
This would have been the exact same platform that Trudeau was going to run on and has been running on for the past 10 years. Only had to tweak a couple of things, aka remove Trudeau's name and put in Carney's name. It's actually crazy. It's wild. And we have these people, just a lovely group of individuals here. They don't want a future. This is the liberal boomer. And you can't make it up. One clip telling you that nothing's changed. It's the exact same platform. It was ready 7 weeks before Carney was installed. And you have this generation just lining up. And this is the first of many to come. I have a lot of clips here lined up. And a lot of out of touch people, clearly, that haven't been paying attention. I just don't know how else to put it. Out of touch, brainwashed by the mainstream media, the whole probably one issue voter due to Donald Trump and the mainstream media and Mark Carney just pounding it into their heads over and over again that Donald Trump is all of our problems, when the past 10 years has decimated this country to levels that, quite frankly, we've never seen before and haven't seen since the Great Depression. And it might actually be worse than the Great Depression. I just don't know how else to put it. You can continue looking at this fool while I go to the food Bank of Canada. And you can just see the numbers for yourself. The insanity. And this guy here, by the way, is a partner of David Goodwin's campaign. He's a part of it. He's a liberal candidate. David Goodwin is a liberal candidate for Elgin St. Thomas, London. So this guy's a part of the campaign. You could see him literally wearing the exact same clothing, as you can see right there. He's campaigning for a liberal candidate, and he's giving Canadians the middle finger as over 2 million people visited food banks in 1 month. So this guy is giving the middle finger to all the starving individuals that the Trudeau, I'm going to call it the Trudeau crisis at this point, because how else do you describe the past 10 years if over 2 million people are visiting the food bank in a month? And the food banks are running out of food, might I add. They can't even support this stuff any longer. It's gotten it's gotten to levels that they can't handle it anymore. Gotta take a sip of water here, losing my voice. But this guy right here and this woman who just thinks this is hysterical. Look at him giving the double middle fingers to you and the starving people of Canada. People who want to change, people who want to bring Canada back to the way it was before. Nah, not these people. It only goes deeper and deeper. Crazy Mark Carney voting boomer chases after a cameraman outside of Carney's rally in Peterborough. These liberals voting for Carney are nuts, but we already knew that. Like, if you thought they were nuts, just get ready.
Carney! 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 You can't do that. You can't legally do that. You can't do that. I see more diversity at a polyam rally, that's all.
Grown adult man, elderly man, acting like an activist in their 20s. I don't know how else to put it. And this woman at the beginning here, I think she might be on the verge of having an aneurysm. This woman in the white. Like breathe for a second. It's okay. There's people with opposing opinions, believe it or not. But these people, they're brainwashed. I actually truly believe they are. Like, sure, you can have an opposing opinion in this country, and you can debate whatever side you please. But after 10 years of what has happened, do you really believe that we are in a better state than we were before? We are $21.8 billion. We went $21.8 billion over our $40 billion deficit. And Mark Carney, since 2020, and became the chair, the leader of the board, essentially. In 2024, he's been at the helm of all of this, leading Trudeau tapping on his shoulder, Trudeau asking for advice for an economic recovery from 2020 and beyond. And that's where this has led us. And it's all over the internet. Just do some Googling. The articles are still up. All of these articles are still there of Trudeau begging Carney for financial advice. And then 2024 hits, the fall economic statement was set to drop, and they were terrified to drop it. Chrystia Freeland, the finance minister herself, resigned. It was so bad. That's how bad things were under a Trudeau, Mark Carney leadership. And it is just the simple fact. And when you see people like this, the only thing I can think of is they're a one-issue voter, and Donald Trump lives rent-free in every single one of their heads. And if this country goes liberal this election, It is because it is full of TDS and people that are one-issue voters. And that is just the simple fact of the matter. Because while I need to bring this up again, 2 million people are starving at food banks, and this is the platform Carney is running on.
You know, the Liberal platform, frankly, that's something I will say that has been ready for several weeks now. Mona Fortier was the one who was working on this, and it was ready before Mark Carney even became Liberal leader. So, you know, he only had to tweak a couple of things.
He only had to tweak a couple of things, and like I said, this clip is going to be living rent-free in my head because they're just telling you the truth. He's running on the same platform Trudeau is. And this was a comment I got on one of the videos I uploaded. Crooked Carbon Carney replied with, "Carbon is gone," and I replied with, "Nope, it's still around." False. Just false. Has nothing to say, just false. To which I went to the government website itself and literally copy and pasted the strengthening industrial carbon pricing 1-for-1 plan that they want to do. They're not hiding this stuff, guys. It's in plain sight. And, yeah. They just, I don't know. No response from this guy. He probably didn't even read it. But the simple fact is, they're out of touch. They aren't paying attention. I mean, just look at these people.
Elbows up! Elbows up!
Elbows up, no more Trump. He just lives rent-free in their head, and they truly believe all of our problems have been created in the past 3 months opposed to the past 10 years.
Elbows up! Elbows up! Elbows up! Elbows up! Elbows up! Elbows up!
Oh, yeah. So I bring us back to Exhibit A. The liberal boomer does not care about the future, does not care about the younger generations. After 10 years of annihilating this country, the same liberal cabinet is still in place right now. All the ministers are still there. You go to the liberal website, you go to the government website, your liberal candidates and MPs, it'll tell you. They're all the exact same. The only person that has changed is Carney, and he has led Trudeau's economy for the past 5 years. For the love of God, do not let Donald Trump decide this election. Think for yourself. Critically think. Use your brain. For some of these liberals, that might be very hard.
Hi, my name's Kate. I can tell you why you shouldn't vote for Pierre Poilievre. He's a liar. He's a thief. Are you casting this? Because I want to tell everybody this.
Yeah,
Put that on. Go ahead, put that on.
I will.
He's just so aggressive. You see the way he just pushes himself through these people. Like, this guy is just, like, chilling.
Hi, my name's Kate.
Just shoves his way through. And I could see this lady didn't take advantage of the free dental care that the Liberals and NDP decided to vote for based on those two front teeth. So, hey, you know what? You vote for, you get what you vote for. And honestly, these were my grandparents acting out like this in public. Where's that one guy? This guy right here. If this guy was I would have to have a sit-down talk with him. I would have to be like, you can't be doing this. You're a grown, elderly man. Like I said before, acting like an activist in their mid-20s. This is just, you know, when Pierre Poilievre called them wackos, it's real. It's the honest truth.
Vote for Pierre Poilievre. He's a liar. He's a thief. Are you casting this? Because I want to tell everybody this.
Yeah,
put that on. Go ahead, put that on.
I will.
Yeah.
Don't you worry about it.
That's good because it's the truth.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Pardon me? You think that's a nice, like, man, I'm just walking by you filming here. You got your
are
wife
you?
giving the finger.
Why are
and you're
you
getting in
here?
my face.
Why are you a conservative?
I'm
Why?
I live
Why are you here then?
I live
Even that guy, he's tapping him. He's like, yo, just breathe. Like, as you can see, most people in this lineup specifically are civil. I don't know what happened with this woman, and for some reason, this guy, he thinks he got this reporter or whoever this guy is. I believe a Chris Dacey, if I said that right, for Dacey Media. There you go. There's the shout out. But I don't know what his issue is.
Why?
I live
Why are
here.
you here then?
I live here.
What?
I live here.
Congratulations.
He's like, I live here. He has nothing to say. He has nothing to say to that.
Where did you live?
I grew up in Nepean. I live in
Yeah.
Ottawa.
Okay. Well, you vote for your candidate.
Okay.
Wherever she is, wherever that guy is.
I'm not with them. I'm filming, and you're giving me the finger and accosting me.
All right.
Yeah, okay.
No, he's entitled to be here. But you know what? We're for Carney.
Oh, obviously, that's no problem. You're entitled to that as well. I was just walking filming here, and him and his wife are giving me the finger and telling me to F off. And
Hey, you know what? I can respect him standing up for the guy just filming, doing his thing, but then he follows it up with a vote Carney, which, yeah, you're entitled to that opinion, but I really don't know how you could have that opinion after everything that has happened. Guys, once again,
You know, the Liberal platform, frankly, that's something I will say that has been ready for several weeks now. Mona Fortier was the one who was working on this, and it was ready before Mark Carney even became Liberal leader. So, you know, he only had to tweak a couple of things.
like, it's right there. Guys, it's right there. The truth is out in the public. They're not even hiding it. They are not even hiding it.
all kinds of things.
Well,
I mean, if that's the kind. Yeah, I mean, okay.
Anybody to figure?
Well, he was. That's what was happening. Yeah, not you. No, I know you're polite. Most people are, right? Yeah. Probably not something you should be doing in front of kids, though. Yeah, we should be able to talk, right? I know, yeah, we should be able to talk and communicate, and you know, we shouldn't be freaking out and giving people the finger and then getting in their face.
Just vote.
No, the guy from the line that just came out at me.
No, just vote. That's our democracy.
Yeah, exactly. I already did vote.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
And there you have it. Most people taking it pretty lightly, very civil. But my God, there's just the odd bunch, I guess. The odd few that the Orange Man has invaded their brains and has a very nice mansion inside their brains. Because I don't know, guys. This is just not right. These people acted out like this. The fucking just going crazy. Oh, man. And it doesn't end there. This is the last clip I have. I'm sure there's plenty more you can go find. And as I pull up some more here, like, just take a look at this one.
Yeah, take my picture, dude.
Hey, don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me, dude. Don't touch me. You can't touch people you don't like. Thank you.
Take up my nostril.
Hey,
Here,
don't
let me.
get out of my face.
No,
Get out
I'm
of
not
my
in your
face.
face, man.
Yes, you are.
No,
Get out.
I'm not in your
Get
face.
out of my face.
Here.
Get out of my
Let me
face.
moon you, man.
Get out of my face, dude.
You're cool, man.
Dude,
How much you guys
get
get
out of my
paid?
face.
You shave?
Get out of my face.
Do you have a job?
Get out of my face.
I'm not in your face.
Yes, you are.
Public-
You touched me
Get-
already. Don't
Get a
touch
cop.
me.
Get a cop.
Don't touch me.
Go help yourself. Get a
Don't-
cop.
Don't touch me.
Get a cop.
Don't touch me.
There's a cop
Sir,
right there.
take your medication.
No.
Take your medication.
No, go fuck your mother.
Take your medication.
Go fuck your mother.
Sir,
Go fuck
calm
your
down.
mother.
Sir,
Go fuck your mother.
calm down. Get out of my
Little bitch.
space. Get out of my
Little
space.
bitch.
Get out of my space. Jeez, man. Go take your meds.
Deranged lunatic. Like, one more time. These guys, they're probably walking around, not saying anything. Maybe just interacting here and there. They're counter protesting, right? They're just counteracting the Carney insanity. They have a Polyev sign in their hand with his face on it. They got a couple flags. And they can't handle it. They can't handle other people having a different opinion. This man is, yes, unhinged is a perfect word. Unhinged, deranged, lunatic, psycho, narcissist, whatever. Up his own ass, whatever you want to say.
Take my picture, dude.
Hey, don't touch me. Don't touch me.
fuck you,
Don't
man.
touch me. Don't touch me, dude. Don't touch me. You can't touch people you don't like. Thank you.
Take up my nostril.
Hey,
Here,
don't
let me-
get out of my face.
No,
Get out
I'm
of my
not
face.
even-
And he walked away. He initially walks away, and then he comes back for more. Like, it wasn't enough the first time. Let me pick my nose and stick it into your camera. And, like, what a fucking weirdo.
Get out of my face.
Here.
Get out of my
Let me
face.
moon you, man.
Get out of my face, dude.
You're cool, man.
Dude,
How much you
get-
guys
get
get
out of my
paid?
face.
You shave?
Get out of my face.
Do you have a job?
Get out of my face.
I'm not in your face.
Yes, you
Hold
are.
it.
You touched me
Go.
already. Don't
Get a
touch
cop.
me.
Get a cop.
Don't touch me.
Go help yourself. Get a
Don't-
cop.
Don't touch me.
Get a cop.
Don't.
And he's sort of antagonizing him. He's like, go get a cop, go get him. Like, go. Like, he wants this to escalate beyond just whatever you want to call this interaction. He wants there to be an altercation that involves actual processes with the police. That's what this guy really wants at the end of the day. That's why he's doing this. He wants this guy to get aggressive. He wants him, and technically, if you can't really see it here, but he says,
Yeah, take my picture, dude.
Hey, don't touch me.
"Don't touch me." Right? He's already put his hands on him. This guy could go to the police if he really wanted to, and file a thing. That'd be very lame in my opinion, unless this guy actually like hits him or slaps him or punches him. That's a different story. But I don't know, tapping you on the shoulder, putting your hand on him, if he's not being totally aggressive about it, like, yeah, this guy's a fucking weirdo, don't get me wrong, but I'm not going to call the cops over for tapping me on the shoulder or something like that. Yeah, don't put your hands on me. Let's be real here. The way this guy's acting, who knows where those hands have been based on this right here. Yeah, maybe don't put your hands on me. But he wants it to escalate beyond that. He wants it to be an altercation.
How much you guys
Get
get
out of my
paid?
face.
You shave?
Get out of my face.
Do you have a job?
Get out of my face.
I'm not in your face.
Yes, you
Hold
are.
it.
You touched me
Go.
already. Don't
Get a
touch
cop.
me.
Get a cop.
Don't touch me.
Go help yourself. Get a
Don't-
cop.
Don't touch me.
Get a cop.
Don't touch me.
There's a cop
Sir,
right there.
take your medication.
No.
Take your medication.
No, go fuck your mother.
Take your medication.
Go fuck your mother.
Sir,
Go fuck
calm
your
down.
mother.
Sir,
Go fuck your mother.
calm down. Get out of my
Go, bitch.
space. Get out of my
Go,
space.
bitch.
Get out.
What a weirdo. Anyway, I bring us back to Exhibit A. The liberal boomer. They do not care about you or the future, and they sure as hell do not care about this country. It's Donald Trump for these people, and it's sad. It is very sad. Donald Trump is not the reason there are 2 million people starving at food banks right now. All right, guys, we are heading into a Pierre Poilievre speech, a plan for change to end tent cities, and probably a lot more. This happened roughly an hour ago, so we're going to take a listen to this. Let's get into it, shall we?
Way to go, bud. Amazing. Thank you. Thank you very much for that great Hamilton Steeltown welcome. It's great to be here in the Hammer. Of course, as we know, there is an election on Monday, and it comes down to one word: change. Change, 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 change. Change so you can afford food and housing. Change that you are safe on your streets. Change so we can bring home our jobs and strength. Change to put Canada first. And change is the name of our plan, our election platform for an affordable life, for safe streets, for Canada first, for a change. L'élection s'en vient et il y a un mot pour une vie. Le change canadien perdu. Seulement les cons deliver that change. Ned Couric in Hamilton East, Stony Creek. Ned. Dan Muse, Flamborough, Glanbrook, Brant North. Erica Alexander. Give her a round of applause. She, of course, is the granddaughter of the great Lincoln Alexander, who was the first black member of Parliament, first black minister in Canadian history, a great conservative, a towering legend in the Canadian story, and we look forward to her carrying on his wonderful legacy. We have Ken Hewitt, Hayden Lawrence, Emily Brown, Ron Chinzer. Give them all a round of applause. I'd like to thank the many members of the Hamilton Police Association who are joining me today. I would also like to thank, based on last night's news, I don't know if you all heard this news, but it's official. The Toronto Police Union is ready for change, and they are endorsing the Conservative plan to make our streets safe for all Canadians. It means the world to me to have the support of our most courageous people. The police who put on a uniform and they leave in the morning kissing their kids goodbye knowing that they may not return. They do all of that so that you and I can walk our streets safely. Yesterday, I released a plan for change that will make life more affordable and safe in our country. Change means safe streets, good jobs, powerful paychecks. Change means unleashing our resources so we can stand on our own 2 feet and stand up to the world from a position of strength. Over the next 4 years, my plan will cut $55 billion of bureaucracy, consultants, foreign aid, and Liberal waste in order to reduce by 70% the Liberal deficit that we will inherit on Monday. By contrast, we learned that Mark Carney's platform was actually written for Justin Trudeau. It was actually, this is not a figure of speech. The platform team of the Liberal Party wrote up a platform in the fall, and they gave it to Trudeau. And then when they switched him out and replaced him with his economic advisor, oh, we've got a little cough there. We're okay? All right. I think he was reacting to the deficit in Mark Carney's platform.
What a good way to turn it around.
I always like to tell this story of when our little baby boy was born, and he came out, and little baby Cruz, and he wasn't crying. And of course, that's every parent's worst nightmare. And then the doctor came over and whispered something in his ear. And all of a sudden, a great cry went out, and we were so relieved that he was going to be okay, so we held him in our arms. And afterwards, I walked up to the doctor, and I said, "Doctor, what did you tell our little infant to make him cry ever so much?" He said, "Well, I just told him that his share of the national debt was $90,000. But it's about to get a lot bigger under Mark Carney. They took this platform, they wrote it for Trudeau, and then Mark Carney takes the leadership and doesn't bother to write his own plan because his plan has been carried out over the last 5 years while he was Trudeau's economic advisor. So why would he presume to change anything? Well, there is one thing he changed. In addition to all of the spending that Trudeau had already budgeted for, Mark Carney's plan would add $130 billion more. When you take Trudeau's plans and Carney's promises, a fourth Liberal term would mean $250 billion of additional inflationary debt that will drive up food and housing prices even more. In fact, Mark Carney, I've said he's no different than Trudeau. The truth is, he will cost even more than Justin Trudeau. He has phantom numbers he can't explain. Yesterday, he was lashing out at even Liberal economists. Liberal economist Trevor Tombe said that Mark Carney's platform is reckless and irresponsible, and Mark Carney arrogantly lashed out, not wanting people to know how much Liberal inflation he would bring if he were to be re-elected for a fourth Liberal term. Now, add it all up. Can you afford a fourth Liberal term of $250 billion more inflationary debt. Can you afford that? No. After the lost Liberal decade? To pay for it all, he would have to raise taxes. There's no question he would reinstate the tax increases Trudeau had planned. He would raise other taxes, only on others, not on him. He would stash his cash in overseas tax havens. But over the last lost Liberal decade, Canada is heading in the wrong direction, and fast. And I don't know if you saw the story this week about the Liberal government actually published a report about how the country will look in 15 years. Now, this is important because what Liberals have been telling you is forget about the last 10 years of Liberal government. Pretend it didn't happen. That was then, this is now, the past is the past, forget about it. Well, what does the future look like? Not according to me, but according to them. Well, they published this report. And, you know, it'd be nice, frankly, this is a jaw-dropping report to be published by the Government of Canada before the election. Future Lives, Social Mobility in Question. And this is the Government of Canada's own report. If I had alleged the things in this report, the media would be attacking me as outlandish. But this is what the government says the future has in store on our current trajectory. And I will emphasize that this is their own words. This is what they have to say. I say that many times just so because the shock value of this report is so massive that you would find it hard to believe the things that they say. The report says that in 2040, more people may struggle to afford rent, bills, and groceries. On housing, in 2040, owning a home is not a realistic goal for many, and inequality between those who rent and those who own has become a key driver of social, economic, and political conflict. The report paints a terrifying picture of national spiral of depression and decline. It forecasts widespread mental health crises, quote, forcing young workers to actually leave the country. If young workers leave Canada, I'm quoting now, it may be harder to pay for the systems that support a growing number of older people. It says that people will lose faith in the Canadian project altogether, and this, the most startling comment of all, that food prices will become so unaffordable on the current path that people may have to start, quote, hunt, fish, and forage on public lands and waterways. Can you imagine in Canada where people are to the point where they can't even go into a grocery store anymore, and they actually have to go forage on public lands in order to scrape out an existence? This sounds incredible, like something from a post-apocalyptic television series like The Fallout, The Last of Us, but this is not that. It is a Liberal government forecast. And it's not for 100 years from now, it's for 15 years from now.
That is absolutely insane, and this leads us back to the over 2 million people that are visiting food banks and had visited food banks in 1 month. The Liberal government's just like, yeah, just go hunt. Go on public lands. Like, that is insane. That is wild to hear. It sounds like they've literally just given up at this point. They're like, yeah, you guys will figure it out on your own, right? We got you into all this debt. Give us another term, and we'll continue to put you guys in debt. You figure out the food situation on your own. Go hunt squirrels and, I don't know, pick berries from trees.
Is that the future that you want for your kids? No. That is not change. That is more of the inflationary spiral the Liberals have brought us over the lost decade. And Mark Carney will continue with every single policy he inherits from Justin Trudeau. He might look different, he might use more different buzzwords, but it is exactly the same Liberal agenda. We cannot afford a fourth Liberal term. After 10 years of Liberal government, predictions about housing shortages, mental health crises, and a loss of hope for many Canadians is already the reality. It's funny, yesterday a CBC host was saying, well, are all of these terrible things in this government report really realistic? Could they really happen in 15 years? And to her credit, another journalist said, well, for a lot of Canadians, that's the way it is now. That's how desperate the situation has already become after 10 years of Liberal government. So the choice in this election could not be clearer. A fourth term Liberal term with Mark Carney, whose plan is even more reckless and costly than Justin Trudeau's, or a new Conservative government that will cut waste and bureaucracy, bring down taxes, unleash home building and resource development so that Canadians can afford a good life on a safe street. That's the choice before us today. That's a good choice. Nothing has become a more profound symbol of the lost Liberal decade, nothing more than the homeless encampments that were unheard of before this government took office, but have now become a part of everyday life. The crime that is associated with them, the violence and the fear that is now overtaking our streets because of liberal drug, criminal justice, border and other policies. Violent crime is up 15%. Gun crime up a shocking 116%. Extortion and auto theft up 357% and 46% respectively. And you are the ones facing it on the front lines, the police officers here with me today, and there are many police officers in this crowd. They're the ones facing it. Here in Hamilton, an innocent young woman was killed waiting for the bus to go to work just the other day. The shot was apparently fired from a passing SUV at another car, but missed and hit her instead. She was a student studying at Mohawk College with her whole life ahead of her. It was a shocking and senseless tragedy. Also this week, the court is hearing closing arguments in the case of two individuals charged with shooting OPP Constable Greg Piershala just 3 years ago. Again, he was a young man, a heroic young man with his entire life ahead of him, a loving son and brother whose loss has left his family and law enforcement with holes in their hearts. Randall McKenzie, one of the accused, had a criminal record a mile long, and is so often the case, he was out on bail for one violent offense when he allegedly committed this crime. Imagine where we would be today. Imagine where Mr. Piershala's family would be today if he had not been released on bail. Imagine if Conservative three-strikes-you're-out laws were actually in place and he had been locked away. What would have happened? And more importantly, what would not have happened? Sadly, these kinds of tragedies have become all too common in recent years. For the last 10 years, the Liberal government has unleashed this crime with lax laws like C-75, which requires judges release offenders under, quote, the least onerous conditions at the earliest opportunity, a law that Mark Carney has pledged, a Liberal law that Mark Carney has pledged to keep in place. The Liberals brought in house arrest, C-5, which allows repeat offenders to do their sentences in their living rooms, watching Netflix, able to walk out the door at any time to reoffend. And instead of promising to work with law enforcement to end the crime and chaos, Mark Carney has pledged to keep the Liberal policies in place. He wants to ban hunting rifles rather than banning gun criminals. As Prime Minister, I'll listen to law enforcement and work with them so that together we can reverse the dangerous Liberal crime wave of the last decade and bring home safe streets for a change, for a change, for a change. Safe streets used to be something we took for granted. People in Canada, in many communities, it's hard to believe this now, used to leave their doors unlocked. They have to sleep with their doors unlocked. It was incredible. And now we have a situation where the Toronto Chief of Police has to tell Torontonians, leave your car keys next to the front door so that if someone wants to steal your vehicle, they can safely do it and just come in and take the keys and leave with the car without hurting anybody. Is this how we keep people safe? We say you give your car to the thief so that he doesn't shoot you or stab you? This is insanity. But of course it is what life looks like after this lost Liberal decade. One of the most visible signs of this total meltdown that Liberals admit in their own reports is going to worsen on the current path is these horrible homeless encampments. In Ontario alone, after the lost Liberal decade, there are 1,400 homeless encampments. It is unimaginable. It's like something out of the Great Depression. In Toronto, the number of homeless encampments more than doubled in just 1 year, from 82 in 2023 to 200 today. Homelessness is up 20% since 2018, roughly the time, it's interesting, Mark Carney became the economic advisor in 2020. And what has happened? Homelessness has gone up by 20%, chronic homelessness up 38%. That is the legacy of this Liberal government. The Liberals promised to eliminate chronic homelessness. Instead, it went through the roof, and now they expect you to believe their promises for a fourth time and a fourth Liberal term. Instead, they've abandoned the vulnerable and condemned them to sidewalks and back alleys. Encampments now fill spaces where children once played and families once gathered. Our public spaces have become a breeding grounds for addiction, violence, human trafficking, and crime. Businesses around parks have been boarded up. Parents are afraid to let their kids cut through parks on their way to school. And for those trapped in these camps, our brothers, our sisters, our friends, our neighbors, they are left to suffer in the cold, to overdose, and sometimes to die alone. These are places where half-dead, contorted bodies lie on the ground on the verge of overdose from fentanyl, twisted, their spinal cords twisted from countless hours, hunched over in painful positions that they cannot sense because of the immense power of the poison running through their bodies and their minds. And the Liberals just say, let it continue. In fact, their policy has been to supply even more drugs, more opioids, keep the problem going, and keep an entire apparatus of bureaucracy and interest groups employed, expanding this problem. These homeless encampments are a symbol of everything this last Liberal decade has brought us. Doubling housing costs, out of control food prices, which put people under economic strain, and of course, rampant liberalization of drugs and crime, which allow the chaos to expand. Les libéraux avaient promis d'éliminer l'itinérance chronique. Ils ont plutôt abandonné les enfants et se sont dû lancer au C. Nos voisins, of Liberals' power. Letting these tent cities spread is not compassion, it is chaos. And it is the direct result of Liberals' pro-drug agenda, policies that have legalized hard drugs, pumped toxic narcotics into our streets under the failed banner of safe supply, and then left the victims with no other options. Nothing for treatment, nothing for recovery, no attempt to actually get people off drugs, and no change whatsoever to this policy proposed by Mark Carney, who wants to continue the exact same policies that he advised Justin Trudeau over the last 5 years. A new Conservative government will end the chaos and restore Canada's promise for a change. Public spaces. Public spaces must be safe for everyone. We will take back our streets and restore order in our communities. And we will give people that are currently trapped in these awful circumstances a pathway to a better life. A life with a home, with nutritious food, physical exercise, connections to family, a new chance to start over. It's going to be a future of hope. And the people who come out of these encampments from out of the shadows, they will come into the light and enjoy the Canadian dream, the Canadian promise. And they will have a superpower when they come from these backgrounds. They will have a superpower that they have lived through the worst valleys, and now they can appreciate the summit on which they will enjoy their lives. So our plan is clear. First, we will amend the criminal code to give police legal powers so that they can remove individuals who are a danger to public safety and clear public spaces where access is currently blocked by tents and temporary shelters. No more excuses by politicians claiming they don't have the powers. The powers will be right there in the criminal code. No more paralysis from politically correct Liberal politicians who are too afraid to take action. Second, we will provide addiction treatment to 50,000 Canadians. We will return a true housing first model, get people into a home. But if their addiction is the thing preventing them from succeeding in that home, we will get them into addiction treatment. We will treat the problem. We'll offer mental health supports, job training, so police can connect the people in these camps with the care and the housing they need. Third, where appropriate, the occupants will face criminal charges, but we will give judges the power to order the people charged for illegally occupying these public places a simple possession charge that requires they go into treatment. So we're here to give people a way out. If someone is illegally occupying a public space, then we will allow judges to give them a sentence of drug treatment that will get them off the poisons that condemned them to that homelessness in the first place. And for more serious criminals, where addiction is a factor in their crime, but where their crime requires they do jail time, we will allow judges to make mandatory treatment a part of their prison sentence. And there will be regular drug tests for prisoners, because we know that if someone comes out continually addicted to drugs, they're probably going to re-offend. But if, on the other hand, while they're in prison, they're given treatment, recovery services, and they show that they pass drug tests again and again and again, then their chance at rehabilitation and becoming a successful part of society is much higher. That's how we're going to restore safe streets for a change. That's how we'll bring back hope for a change. Un nouveau gouvernement conservateur va mettre fin au chaos et que l'ordre clair bloqué ici à 50 notamment en contact aux besoins. On va donner d'espace, et pour les crimes, on va donner tendance et l'espoir et se libérer à leur vie. Finally, we will make it possible for people to afford homes again. Our plan will axe the sales tax on home building, incentivize municipalities to cut their building taxes, to knock $100,000 of taxation off the cost of a home. We'll incentivize municipalities to speed up permits, free up land, and cut development taxes to build 15% more homes per year. We'll allow 300,000 homes to be built on federal lands that are otherwise underused or unused completely. This plan will allow 2.3 million homes, affordable homes, to be built for a change. We're going to make it possible for people to have a place to live. You know, many of the people in these camps, they didn't start off with that life. But what has been happening is because there's absolutely no hope for them. They might be a young person who's working 70 hours a week just to afford the rent and food, not saving up a nickel for a future down payment, no light at the end of the tunnel. So what happens then? Well, they relieve that hopelessness with a dose of the wrong drug. Then they're addicted. Then they're out of their apartment and on the street. We have to reverse the liberal housing hell and inflation that has made life so hopeless for so many. We cannot afford another 15 years of liberal inflation and depression. We need a change, and that's why we're here offering that change. This is about more than just cleaning up our sidewalks. It's about bringing back a good life for Canadians, the life that we used to take for granted. A Canada where hard work pays off for a change, where families can raise their children safely for a change, where seniors can walk without fear for a change, where people don't shun our downtowns for a change, where businesses can take down the boards on their windows and open up for serving customers and hiring workers for a change. We can't afford a fourth Liberal term of rising costs, crime and chaos under the Liberals with the same Liberal ministers, the same Liberal MPs, the same Liberal advisors. We need a new Conservative government that will change course on crime and common sense laws. We will strengthen our border to keep out illegal drugs and guns, ensure repeat offenders go to jail and never come out. We will restore law and order, putting murderers behind bars. If we're going to bring in life sentences for fentanyl traffickers so that they never come out again. They are mass murderers, and they will be treated like mass murderers when I'm Prime Minister. We will shut down the taxpayer-funded drug dens and replace them with wonderful treatment centers filled with hope and excitement for people ready to start their lives. We will give the young men and women caught in this cycle of drugs and despair evidence-based treatment so we can bring our loved ones home drug-free for a change. It's time to stop the crime for a change, end the chaos for a change, put law-abiding Canadians first for a change. That is how we bring hope for a change. Thank you very much. Let's bring it home. Thank you.
All right, now I believe we're going to do questions with reporters here. I would just like to point out I am not a hero by any means. I am just a everyday average guy who is, quite frankly, just tired of the shit. The past 10 years have been, and should have been, very eye-opening for a lot of people in this country, but it's, I guess, not shocking to see that a lot of people still believe liberal is the way to go. I guess there's a lot of government workers that like their paycheck and pension, and there's a lot of brainwashed individuals who probably watch nothing but the CBC, which is bought and paid for by the Liberal Party. But yeah, it's kind of sad where this country has gone to, and I can only hope some sort of recovery can happen, and I do not believe anybody can do it but Pierre. Just like the things he says, the way he speaks, it brings hope back, at least a little bit. Whenever I see Carney speak, he is stumbling on his words. He's awkwardly and nervously laughing his way through questions, and he gets really, really angry when the reporters ask the important and hard questions. And it makes me wonder how this man would act if he was to negotiate with world leaders, striking trade deals, or whatever the case is. Like, I guess he's already doing that as we speak, but I don't know. He just comes off as a fool, and week after week, more and more things come out about this guy having ties with some foreign company, or he's moving his companies to foreign places. Like, Carney, his entire campaign has been running on Donald Trump and the Donald Trump crisis, but he simultaneously moved all of his businesses to the United States. So he's a massive hypocrite. And he's a fool. He's an idiot. I don't know how anybody could believe a word he has to say, but I guess that's just the country we live in.
Thank you. We will now go to questions, and we will start with a call-in question from the phone line.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. And your first question comes from the line of Renee Pierre-Fontaine from Journal Le Nord. Please go ahead.
Bonjour, M. Poiliev. Dans un contexte où Meta refuse de verser sa juste part d'impôt au Canada et $10, donc du mérite.
Merci beaucoup, M. Libéraux. Ça a du contrôle de crimes gouvernementaux, leur information, lequel mais ça le choix de monde pour vous donner. Thank you. Yes, look, a great question. It was about how after the lost Liberal decade, many media outlets cannot actually share their information on Facebook and Instagram. This has really attacked our local independent media, and maybe that's the goal with out-of-control inflation, rising housing costs, crime and chaos in our streets. Liberals are trying to get a fourth term by shutting out that information. Their entire campaign is based on making you forget what happened over the last 10 years of Liberal government and forget what will happen in the next 15 years if you read this report that was just leaked out that says that Canadians will be forced to forage on public lands for food if things continue on the current Liberal track. So it's not surprising that Liberals would want to shut out discussion on that. But a fourth Liberal term is not the answer. What we need is a new Conservative government to bring change so you can afford food and homes, change so there's safety in your streets, change so that we have freedom of expression. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next question.
Thank you.
Hi, Chris Arnold with Village Media.
Sorry,
Chris Arnold with Village Media.
Thank
I would
you,
like to
Chris.
actually build on the previous question. You had said previously that your government would cut funding for certain broadcasters and news outlets. I'm wondering if you can commit to not cut funding for local media and local news outlets that depend so much on grants from the government, subsidies from the government.
I can commit to that. I said that in my platform, you can see it there, that we're going to back local independent journalism, including the local journalism initiative. And we're also going to make sure that local media get their fair share of government advertising. It shouldn't only go to the Liberal government's favored media outlets. And, you know, the Liberals want censorship to silence people about the doubling of housing costs, the insane rise of food prices, the crime and chaos the Liberals have unleashed in our communities. But that's exactly why we can't afford a fourth Liberal term. It's not just local media that are suffering under the Liberals, it's everybody. It's small businesses, it's shop owners, it's the steel workers here in Hamilton that Mark Carney wants to hit with another carbon tax. But we're not going to let them, you know, their entire strategy is to make Canadians forget about the last 10 years by limiting debate and distracting. And they also want you to forget about the next 15 years if the Liberal policies remain in place. We need strong, independent media so that Canadians get all the information. We need a change. This election really comes down to one word. It's change. Change, change, change. Change so you can afford food. Change so you can afford homes. Change so that you are safe in your street. This election is about change. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question.
Hi, Brad Hunter, Toronto Sun. My question is, the law and order has been a cornerstone of your platform. One thing I haven't heard a whole lot of is about youthful offenders, particularly given, you know, some 16-year-old kids in the morgue following a shootout with Toronto cops. You know, he pulled first, but what's the kid doing with the gun? You know, if he survived, was he only going to do 18 months? What do you think should be done with the young offender issue?
There do need to be, thank you very much for your question, and the story that you shared is another tragic result of the lost Liberal decade of lax criminal justice laws, weak borders, and drugs on our streets. You know, our kids are now more vulnerable to gang recruitment than ever before. Their parents are stressed out and exhausted. There's drugs and guns everywhere in our streets that have come in through the porous borders, and there's more poverty. 25% of our people live in poverty after the lost Liberal decade. So our youth have never been so vulnerable. And I think if we elect the Liberals to a fourth Liberal term, it's going to be even worse for our young people. More crime, more danger, more inflation, more malnutrition. But we can't afford a fourth Liberal term. We need a change to lock up the criminals, secure the borders, stop the drugs, guns, and stolen cars from going through our ports and across our frontiers. We need to give young people a sense of hope and opportunity again. I think one of the things I've noticed about my campaign is how many young people are involved. And it wasn't always the case for Conservatives. Well, why is it? Because we're giving young people hope, a hope that they're going to have a better future, real hope for a change. I want every young person in this country to reject a life of crime, knowing that there's something so much better we have in store for them, a job where they can excel, a business that they can start, a community where they will thrive and succeed, a nice home where they'll raise families in the future and give grandchildren to their parents. That is the beautiful future that we have. I call it the Canadian promise. Let's bring it home for a change. Thank you.
We will now go to the final question.
Hi, Mr. Polyev. Triya Isri, Global News. Canada could be headed into a recession, yet your platform does not account for this uncertainty. How do you justify that?
Well, my platform, when you say it doesn't account for that, can you explain what you mean by that?
Well, part of your platform projects growth based on projects that have yet to happen, by repealing C-69, by having growth with pipelines that could take years. So I just wonder, should you have erred more on the side of caution, given the fact that we're only a few months into a trade war?
Well, listen, first of all, the reason our economy has no growth and has been in a per capita recession for the last 5 years is because of the policies that Mark Carney advised Justin Trudeau's Liberals to implement. They are the reckless ones, and now what is ultimately the most reckless of all is at a period of uncertainty. Mark Carney says he wants to keep all of the spending that Justin Trudeau planned and then stack $130 billion more spending on top of that for a total of $250 billion of extra inflationary debt that will drive up the cost of food and fuel. Now, you ask me, in a period of economic weakness, after the Liberals have been in power for 3 terms, whether it is wise to campaign on economic growth. It's not only wise, it's essential for a change that we grow our economy. We need to unleash. Of course it's. What would be reckless is to continue with the same Liberal policies. Mr. Carney wants to keep Bill C-69. He wants to keep half of our oil in the ground. He wants to bring in a massive new industrial carbon tax on the steel mills here at Stelco and Dofasco, elsewhere, Algoma and Evraz, to shut down our steel industry with taxes. That is more Liberal recklessness. What is actually responsible is to unleash our resources by repealing the No Development Law C-69, getting rid of the Liberal energy cap, bringing in the shovel-ready zones that are pre-permitted for construction, incentivizing 2.3 million home builds. All of these projects will put our people to work with powerful paychecks that buy them affordable food and homes for a change. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. That concludes today's press conference.
Well, that last reporter walked right into that one, didn't she? Well, guys, we can only hope that change will come in the next few days. The election is coming down to the wire. It is very, very close. I went and I voted early. I got it out of the way. I got it done. So when the big day comes, I could hopefully be live for a majority of it. We'll see what happens, but that will be a very exciting day. I can only hope. Anyway, that is going to do it for the stream or show today, whatever you want to call it. We'll end off on this fool here. At the very minimum, just go out and vote. Get everybody out there to vote that you know, and if they don't want to vote, try to get them to anyway. I don't know, that's all I can say. This is coming out as probably one of the biggest elections in our country. Record-breaking over or about 2 million people in early voting, the advanced voting, which is crazy. That's a big number. A lot of people want to get out there and cast their vote. This election feels like it is massive. Might be the biggest election of all time for our country. I say that now, but who knows what the future holds. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's stream or show. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you have a great rest of your day or night, depending on where you are from. Take it easy.